The route of incremental diplomacy is not always exciting, not immediately gratifying. It doesn't have the panache of shiny weapons and sharp threats. In fact, some people call diplomatic efforts a downright waste of time when you're talking about North Korea. Others argue it is the only way forward. Today I spoke with Michael Fuchs, who's the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia during John Kerry's time there. And he's now at the progressive institute called American Progress. He had warnings of his own for the Trump administration. In a nutshell, cool it. The president made some new comments today, and given your expertise in East Asia and the Pacific, do you think his desire that he would have gone further would have been beneficial to all this?
Oh, absolutely not. I think that the statements that he already made about quote unquote fire and fury with North Korea were reckless and irresponsible, really just increasing the chances of miscalculation that could lead to a conflict with North Korea. I think what's really needed here right now, as the threat from North Korea grows, is a sober, hard-headed and consistent strategy from the United States to deter North Korean aggression and to contain the threat from North Korea, not exacerbating it.
Does anybody really know what to do?
Well, I think that we have shown, the United States and our allies and partners around the world, for decades since the end of the Korean War in 1953, which of course never formally ended, that we know how to deter North Korean aggression. We know how to maintain peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and in Northeast Asia. And that fundamentally has always been, and frankly needs to continue to be, our number one priority here. A war on the Korean Peninsula that could potentially spiral into a broader regional war involving China and others would be absolutely catastrophic, not just for the region, but for hundreds and thousands of Americans living there and potentially for Americans living in the United States. And so the number one priority has always been deter North Korea. That has allowed South Korea to prosper and become a democracy, and it has allowed Japan to do the same. And so that really needs to be the focus here. That is in parallel to an ongoing effort, which of course has been much less successful, to prevent the nuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and to try to stop North Korea from advancing its nuclear capabilities. But again, fundamentally, we're still in the same strategic place that we have been for years.
Is there anybody out there? Lindsey Graham is saying, guys, we got to get it together. We have to consider every option. Every option can be kind of scary for some people, but is it necessary at this point?
Well, I think that we always need to keep all options on the table, but it is very clear to every expert and policymaker who has been focused on this issue that the absolute worst of all the options right now is war, is a military conflict with North Korea. As I pointed out, it would be absolutely catastrophic.
How about regime change?
Again, the same thing goes for regime change right now. There are obviously lots of ways that the United States can attempt to push more information into North Korea, to the North Korean people, to try to, frankly, support certain types of economic engagement that can help the well-being of the North Korean people, that may lead to change over time in North Korea. But fundamentally, when you're talking about trying to bring about regime change, or you're trying to talk about taking out the North's nuclear missile capabilities, these are recipes for war and for disaster. And so I think really what we need to be focused on here is, again, first, the deterrence of North Korean aggression, first and foremost, but then also pushing hard for diplomacy. The times when we have at least temporarily made progress on this issue, or at least almost made progress, were when we pushed for diplomacy alongside pushing for deterrence.